Okay, Taj, let's start, right? Let me share my screen. Let's get going. See, Taj, in the last session, we discussed something regarding the on-prem. Uh,
AD
ac-
and DC,
yeah, how
the
can we
forest
create?
and domains.
Yeah, the forest and domains,
Hey
absolutely.
Jitin, before we start, can we do one thing? Can
Mhm.
we go through the course details, like what we're gonna cover, like how we're gonna finish it? I was just going through the PDF Amit sent me, that
Mhm.
AZ 700.
Okay. Yeah. Please go ahead, Taj.
You have that document or not, like AZ 700 something?
Yeah, let me share my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, is this what you are talking about?
Yeah.
Okay,
This is
this
this is our like our final goal.
right. See, we will be covering all this part, Tej. But problem is, before we come to this part,
Hmm.
before we start talking about networks, right? So if
Hmm.
we directly start talking about networks, the
Hmm.
confusion that may come is who is creating the network, how those
Hmm.
identities are working in the background. So what
No,
we are doing,
it's
right?
okay.
Uh-huh.
I trust you. I'm just saying like so. Just I'm just asking because so that we are on the same page because we
Yeah,
didn't talk much
right, right.
earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we
take.
will be covering all this part. See, some
Okay.
maybe for next couple of hours, maybe
Hmm.
for let's say 1 to 2 to 3 hours, we will
Hmm.
try to set up a base. And once
Understood.
base will be set up, then we will be talking about all these concepts,
Understood.
right?
You know that better. I thought I will just talk, like discuss here. We are on same page. Yeah, you can go as you
Right.
want. Yeah, you know
All right.
more than me here. Yeah, because normally Azure is like very less people do networking course, I guess. Right?
Like there are people who do it, yeah, but yeah, but don't worry about all those
Okay,
topics. We'll
it's
be
fine.
covering it, right? Okay, let's move ahead. So basically, in the last time, we discussed something regarding the on-prem identities. How can we create identities with the help of on-premises, right?
Yeah.
Now we'll discuss something about the cloud. So how do we create identities in cloud?
Yeah.
So in cloud, we have a service called as, see, whenever we will be creating an identity, it is
Hmm.
always like this: username at
Hmm.
domain name,
Okay.
right? Username at domain name.
Hmm.
Now, how do we get domain name in cloud? So basically, there is a service called as Azure Active Directory.
Hmm.
In short, people also call this as Azure AD.
Hmm.
In short, people also call this as AAD. In short, people, now Microsoft has renamed the service and
Hmm.
now they're calling it as Microsoft Entra ID.
Hmm.
So if you hear someone calling it as Azure AD or Azure Active Directory or AAD or
Hmm.
Microsoft Entra ID, one and the same thing. The
Understood.
new name is Microsoft Entra ID now, right?
Okay.
All right. Now, how do we get this Microsoft Entra ID or how do we get this Azure Active Directory? So how do we start the journey in Azure? We start the journey in Azure by creating an Azure account, right?
Hmm.
Let's say v hyphen 2 JISI at outlook.com is my account,
Hmm.
right? So traditionally, when we were creating the Azure account, Microsoft was providing us two things. So Microsoft was providing us a default directory and they
Hmm.
were also providing us a domain,
Hmm.
right? So what would be the domain name? From this Azure account, they will remove the special characters. So what are the special characters? Hyphen,
Hyphen
at,
dot.
dot is also a special character, but it do not touches .com. Reason?
Okay.
.com is a top level domain. So apart
Hmm.
from .com, it removes all these special characters, right?
Okay.
So how the domain name will look like? See, it will be like this:
Hmm.
v hyphen will be removed, to
Hmm.
JISI
SI
at will be removed,
outlook.com. Yeah.
Outlook, and it always provide us a domain name at dot on microsoft.com, right?
For Azure.
Yeah, for sure. It will always provide this at dot on microsoft.com.
So
So
Azure
this
account is like at Outlook is just an account name. It's not a domain name basically.
it
It's
could
just a
be
name.
anything. It could be anything.
Even Gmail or anything like that or no?
Yeah. Let me give you, I'll give you two more examples, right?
Okay.
You will get clarity. So basically now we are able to get the domain. So can we
Mm-hmm.
create the users? We can call them as cloud users or
Mm-hmm.
Azure AD users or Microsoft Entra ID users. So we can create the users. Let's say
Mm-hmm.
username at domain name, username at domain
Oh,
name.
okay.
That is how we would be able to create the users,
Understood.
right? Let's take two more examples. Let's say my Azure account is, let's say jitin.singh16 at gmail.com. Let's say that's my Azure account, right? So what we
Mm-hmm.
will get, we will get a default directory and we will also get a domain. So what would be the domain name?
Jitin Singh 16 gmail.com at gmail.com uh, dot on microsoft.com.
Yeah, gmail dot on microsoft.com,
Yeah, Gmail dot.
right? Because .com is coming here. So after
Yeah,
Gmail, it will become dot on microsoft.com.
yeah. And
Let's
what's
take one more.
default directory?
We are getting it. It's providing us a directory by default. That is the reason they are just calling it as default directory. If
Okay,
in
but
case,
basically a storage or directory
you can
basically.
say, a tool, a kind of a PaaS tool or a
Hmm.
SaaS tool, via which we will be managing the identities.
Okay,
So how are we going to manage the identity? It's a tool.
okay.
So basically, when we go to Microsoft Entra ID, it take us to a directory,
Hmm.
right? I'll show you.
Yeah,
Then I think you will have more clarity. Let's say one more example. Let's say this is Azure. This is the account. Let's say jitin.singh at dell.com. So I may have a default directory and we will have a domain. So what will be the domain name?
yeah. So Jitin Singh Dell dot on microsoft.com.
Dot on microsoft.com. That is how we will able to get the domain name. So now if I want to create the users, can I create the cloud users? We can do it. Maybe let's
Yeah.
say test one at so and so, test two
Hmm.
at so and so. So that is how we would be able to create the users, right?
So user will have account and both uh,
See,
ID,
this
enter
is
ID.
username,
Yeah.
this is domain name.
Okay, so domain name consists of Microsoft plus whatever the profile we gave. So it used our name as a sub domain of on Microsoft, sort of.
That's right.
Mhm.
Right? Okay, let's have a look. So let's say if I go here to my account. So when we go to our account, which service we are looking for? Let's say we are looking for Microsoft Entra ID. So maybe here we can just type Microsoft Entra ID. Right? So
Mhm.
when we go to Microsoft Entra ID, this is what Microsoft Entra ID is. Let's say we put it like this, Microsoft Entra ID, right? So when we go to Microsoft Entra ID, here we can see the overview. So in the overview, we can see the directory name. That is the name of a directory.
Mhm.
If in case we want to change it, we may change it as well. That is absolutely possible.
Okay.
This is our domain name. This is our primary domain name. Right?
Okay.
And if I want, I can simply go to users, and from here I can check which all users do we have. So whatever users we have will be mentioned over here, right? For example, I can see
Okay.
there are so many users.
Yeah.
So let's say if I want to remove some users, I may remove them as well. Let's say I'm removing all these users, right? So I
Mhm.
can simply say delete. That is how users can be deleted.
Okay.
Similarly, if in case we would like to create a user, so here we have an option that we can create a user. So we can say
Okay.
create new user, and from here I would be able to create the user. Let me show
Okay.
you how to be created. So if we go to Microsoft Entra ID, we
Mhm.
can go to users, and from here we can create the
Yep.
users.
Okay.
Let's say I'm creating test one. So username at domain name,
Yeah.
right? Display name, let's say test one. Whatever password you want to select, you can select over here, right?
Yeah.
Then here there is an option called as account enable. Account enable means once this account is created, we are enabling this account. Means if the account is enabled, the person can go to my portal.azure.com and they can log in using these credentials.
Okay.
If the account is not enabled, then the person would not be able to log in, right?
Okay.
Then you can define properties, first name, last name, company name, department, so on. By
Yeah.
creating a user, you can also make this user a part of a group. You can also assign some roles to the user.
Okay.
That is how we can do this. And we can
Yeah,
say
that's
we
fine.
can. Now, question that comes here is, do we want to create the users like this? Do we want to create the users on the domain name given to us by Microsoft? Or would we like to create a user like this? Let's say test3 at dell.com, or let's say test4 at facebook.com,
Yeah,
or let's say test,
ideally it should work as that. Like people should not know the whole thing, or
right?
they don't should not have to type whole thing.
Right. So by default, this is the domain name we are getting. But as an organization, maybe we would like to create the users on our own domain name.
Yeah.
So can we do this? Yes, we can certainly do this. Let's see how
Okay.
can we achieve this. See how we are starting. We are starting by creating an Azure account.
Hmm.
Let's say v hyphen 2 jisi at outlook.com is my account. So what
Hmm.
we are getting, we are getting a default directory and we are getting a domain. That's
Domain. Hmm.
v2gisi outlook.on microsoft.
Yeah. .com.
Now when we are creating users,
Hmm.
now we are able to create users like this, right?
Yeah.
But what we want to do, we want to create users, let's say like this, test3 at dell.com or
Yeah.
test4 at facebook.com, whatever the domain name is, right?
Hmm.
Or let's say test5 at jitin.com, whatever our domain name is.
Hmm.
So first of all, if we want to create the users like this, first of all,
Hmm.
we need to have a domain, right?
Hmm.
So let's say
Yeah.
I have my domain that is jitin.shop. So I
Hmm.
have purchased this domain, let's say for testing purposes, for the learning purposes. That is
Okay.
my domain name. It could be anything, dell.com, facebook.com, whatever domain name we have got, right? From where I have purchased this domain, I have purchased this domain from GoDaddy.
Okay.
So who is GoDaddy? GoDaddy
Yeah.
is my domain provider, or you can say
Hmm.
GoDaddy is my domain registrar.
Yeah.
GoDaddy is the place where my domain has been registered, right?
Hmm.
Okay. So I can say, see, this GoDaddy is my domain registrar. So sometimes people ask, is it possible that we can buy a domain directly from Azure? We can do this. If we go to Azure, there is a service called as App Service Domains, right?
Okay.
So in Azure, there is a service called as App Service Domains. So if in case you don't want to buy a domain from GoDaddy or from Namecheap or any other domain provider, you can
Hmm.
buy a domain directly from Azure as well.
Okay.
GoDaddy is the gold partner for Azure. Means we will be paying money to Microsoft, but Microsoft in the backend will be paying money to GoDaddy,
Okay.
right? But we would be able to manage our domain from the Azure portal. We don't
Yeah.
need to go to any other interface, right?
Okay.
In my case, I have directly purchased a domain from GoDaddy. Okay.
Okay.
Now, when we go to Microsoft Entra ID, in Microsoft Entra ID, there is an option called as custom domain names.
Okay.
In this custom domain name, as of now, we have only got one domain, the domain which is given to us by Microsoft.
Microsoft. Yeah.
See, I'm talking about this option. So let's say if we go to this Microsoft Entra ID, in Microsoft
Hmm.
Entra ID, if we scroll down under manage, if we scroll down, we have an option called as custom domain names. And by default, in this custom domain name, we have only got this domain name, the one that is given to us by Microsoft.
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
is that is the reason when we are trying to create a new user,
Hmm.
because that is the only domain name available in Microsoft custom domain names. or under custom domain names. That is the reason when we are trying to create a new user, we can only create the user on this domain name.
There is no nothing drop
There
down
is,
because there is
yeah,
no second one.
there is no second one. Reason, because in this
Yeah.
custom domain name, this is the only domain available, right? So if we want to create a user on our own domain name, what do we need to do? We need to go to Microsoft Entra ID.
Mm-hmm.
In Microsoft Entra ID, we can go to custom domain names,
Mm-hmm.
and here we can add a custom domain name, right? We
Mm-hmm.
can add a custom domain name. So which domain name we will add? The one that we have got,
Mm-hmm.
right? So which domain name we will be adding as per this diagram?
Jitin.shop.
Jitin.shop, the one that we have got, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as we add this domain name,
Mm-hmm.
now Microsoft Entra ID will provide us value for two types of DNS records,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we will basically get the value for two types of DNS records.
Mm-hmm.
So we will get the value for text record and we will get the value for MX record. So we can say we will get the value, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now what do we need to do? See, we have purchased a domain from GoDaddy. So now we can go to www.godaddy.com.
Mm-hmm.
When when we would be purchasing the domain from GoDaddy, we would have used some credentials.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say I'm trying to buy something from Amazon as an e-commerce website.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say I'm trying to buy a mobile phone. So what is the first thing I have to do? I have to log in with my Amazon account. I
Mm-hmm.
have to add that item into the cart, and then I would be able to place the order, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we would be buying this domain from GoDaddy, we would have logged in with our credentials.
Mm-hmm.
Then we would have added that domain into the cart item, and then we would have purchased this domain. So
Yep.
when I go to godaddy.com, I just simply need to log in with my credentials. So when I log in with my credentials, I would be able to see my domain there, the one that
Yep.
I have purchased from GoDaddy, that is
Mm-hmm.
jitin.shop.
Mm-hmm.
In front of this domain, there is an option to manage the DNS of the domain.
Okay.
And if we click on that manage DNS, it will basically take us to the DNS management page. It will take
Okay.
us to a page from where the DNS management can be done.
Mm-hmm.
In this DNS management page, we will find out that by default, there will be some records. So by default, there will be a record, service record, text record, right? CNAME records. So by default, some records will be there. Some DNS records will be there.
Mm-hmm.
So what do we need to do? We need to add a text record.
So basically, these are the pointers to
Yeah,
GoDaddy to Microsoft.
go right to Microsoft. Absolutely. Right. So we will be adding a text record. So
So
when we
text is like something specific or just name as his name is TXT, just a name.
txt. See, in DNS, every record has a specific purpose, right? For
Okay.
example, what is the purpose of a record? It converts name into IP
Yeah.
address, right?
Yeah.
Purpose of text record is to prove the domain ownership.
Okay. So prove ownership. Okay.
Yeah. With the help of text record, we can prove the domain ownership.
Okay.
So when we say that we would like to add a text record, it says, hey, do you have the value for this record? So
Mm-hmm.
do we have the value
Mm-hmm.
for this text record?
I have a question. Shouldn't it be opposite way? Because GoDaddy gave us the domain. GoDaddy should give us text and MX, and then we need to put that in Microsoft. No?
No, no, no. See, where are we proving this domain belongs to us? With Azure, we are proving.
Yeah. So yeah. So GoDaddy already know it. GoDaddy domain is on GoDaddy, so GoDaddy should have all the values, and then we're gonna prove that thing to Microsoft, or Microsoft need to talk with GoDaddy somehow.
It's one the same thing. Think it like this.
Okay.
Let's say I am providing you something,
Mm-hmm.
right? Let's say I'm giving you something. Now you just need to. So what happens when we go to Microsoft Enter ID? When we say that okay, Jitin.shop belongs to me,
Mm-hmm.
Azure says I don't know this domain belongs to you or not. If you are saying this domain belongs to you, I am providing you some value. Go
Mm-hmm.
ahead and put these values into your domain.
Mm-hmm.
Once it is done, I'll do a verification.
Oh, so basically it wants you to log in and put it so that they know that yeah, because if I come and say, hey, this is my Microsoft can't use it because they don't know like I'm telling truth or lie. They ask me to go to GoDaddy and put this, and then GoDaddy will validate it and send to Microsoft like, oh, it's good
Yeah, that's right.
because I have login and everything. Okay,
Right. Right.
that makes sense. Yeah, we good.
So basically, when we try to add a text record, it says, "Hey, do you have the value?" So Microsoft Entra ID has already given us a value.
Yeah.
Have the value for the text record. So we can say we can copy the value from Microsoft Entra ID and can paste it here.
Yeah.
Right? So once it is done, we just need to go back here and we just need to click on verify that okay, we have added a value. Now Microsoft Entra ID, you can go ahead and you can do the verification.
Hmm.
So this entire process of adding the domain and verifying it proves
Hmm.
the ownership of the domain. That yes, we are the owner of this particular domain.
Okay.
And once verification will be done, this domain will be added over here. So here in this custom domain name, we will also get jitin.shop.
Sure.
So now if we try to create, let's say test user 4, so we can create test user 4 at v2gisi outlook on microsoft.com. We can also create test user 4 at jitin.shop.
Yeah, that's why when my cloud guy he gives me a test account, sometime it has a like company name dot on Microsoft.com,
.com.
like a virtual machine for test. Yeah.
Right, so let's see
Yep.
it practically. How can we do it? See, so right now we can see that if we are trying to create a new user,
Yeah.
the only option we have is, let's say I'm creating test user
Yeah.
2, we can only create user on so and so
Yeah.
domain name,
Yeah.
but we would like to create a user on our own domain name.
Yeah.
So we can go to Microsoft Entra ID.
Hmm.
In Microsoft Entra ID we can go to custom
Custom
domain names and we
add
will try to
domain.
add a domain here. Right, so let's say we'll say we would like to add a custom domain. So can I add here google.com? Is it possible?
No, because they know that it's a well-known domain for somebody else.
Like, see, I can add google.com, but I
Yeah, but
won't be able to verify this.
yeah, I mean, yeah, but Microsoft also should also know it, but you never know. Yeah, you're right. So
Right,
it's
so
a
let's say
standard
when I add
process.
google, yeah, when I add google.com, Microsoft Entra ID says I don't know this domain belongs to you or not. If you are
Mm,
saying this domain belongs to you, I am providing you some records, prove the ownership.
you prove it.
Go to
Understood.
this domain and add this text record over there, and then I will do a verification. Right.
Right.
Okay, so basically we can add it, but we won't be able to verify this.
Yeah.
An unverified domain name is of no use.
Yeah.
So let's say I am deleting this. So
Yeah.
ideally we will be adding that domain name, the one on which we have got the access.
Mm,
So let's say I'll try to add here my domain name. So maybe I'll say I'm adding here Jatin dot. So
I
maybe I
just
can.
I just I just noticed one thing on the top right. You have a default directory under your name. So that is what you meant, right? A default
Yeah,
directory, default
that is
login. Okay.
that is it. See, if in case you want to change the name of this default directory, you can do it.
Okay. Yeah, but
Let's say
understood.
I would
Understood
like
what
to
you
make
meant.
it as Jitin Training Directory or whatever name you
Hmm.
wish to give. You can do it.
It's okay. Yeah. I just saw it. Yeah. It's right.
Yeah. Right.
Jitin.shop. Okay.
Right. So now here we are adding Jitin.show. We can say add domain. So
Hmm.
when we say add domain, again, Microsoft Entra ID says, I do not know this domain belongs to you or not. I
Hmm.
am providing you a value for text record. I am
Yeah.
providing you a value for MX record. Right? Go to your domain and add this record over there.
Hmm.
Because this domain I really own, so I can go to www.godaddy.com.
Hmm.
Now I can sign in here with my credentials, the one that I have used when I was buying this. So let's say I'll try to log in here.
Hmm.
Okay, so now I'm able to log in. So once we are able to log in, we can see here that we have got our domain. So here we can see that we have got our domain jitin.shop.
Yeah.
And in front of this domain, we can see we have an option to manage the DNS of this domain.
Yeah.
So if we click on this DNS, manage DNS, it will basically take us to the DNS management page from where DNS management can be done.
Hmm.
And we can see by default we have got some records here. So let's say we have got a record, ns record, cname record, right?
Yeah.
Some records we have got here. So what do we need to do? We need to add a record. So if you want to delete any record, you can delete it, right? Let's say
Hmm.
if I want to delete something, I can simply check this box and I
Hmm.
can simply say delete. So that is how a record can be deleted. Similarly, if I wish to add a record, I can add it as well. So I can say I would like to add a new record. It says what kind of a record you are trying to add. So let's say I'm adding a text record. What is the name? What is the value? All this information is already given us to by Microsoft Enter ID. So alias or host name. So name is at
Yeah.
or at the rate, whatever you call this.
Hmm.
Destination or point to address, that is the value.
Hmm.
TTL, time to live, 3600 seconds.
Yeah.
So what is the name? At,
At
this is the value.
36.
TTL, let's say we can say 1 hour, which is
Yeah.
equals to 3600 seconds.
36
Let's say
seconds.
into
Yeah.
60. If I want to put this in seconds, I can simply say custom and I can even put this in seconds
Okay.
and I can say save. So once it is done, now I can come back here and I can say verify. See what happens as soon as you add it and if you try to verify it, the verification may fail.
It'll take time to sync.
Yeah. So usually this verification gets done in less than 3 to 5 minutes. This verification can be succeeded. But
Hmm.
officially it can take up to 72 hours. But
Okay.
usually in less than 3 to 5 minutes it will be done. So if in case verification is failing and if we are sure we have added the values correctly, maybe we should again try this in 1 or 2 minutes and it will pass.
Okay. That's
So
good. We can
here,
continue. Yeah.
here let's say verify. So now it says verified domain name. We are good. So
Hmm.
now if we come back here, we can see now we have got two domains.
Yeah.
Japan.shop is also added and it is also a verified
Verified
domain,
one.
right? So now if I go to users
Hmm.
and if I say we would like to create a new user,
Hmm.
so we can say we can create, let's say, test user 2 on so and so. Okay, it's
Hmm.
not reflecting here. Let me just refresh the page. So let's see here. Okay, so now we have Jitin.shop.
Yeah.
So now we can create test to it Jitin.shop, right? So I can
Yeah.
say return create. So basically, we are able to create the user on our own domain name.
Hmm.
Any
Okay.
question, any query, anything?
No, I'm good. Let's continue.
Alright, let's move it. See, after creating the users, what we will try to do, we will try to assign some roles to the users. Right?
Hmm.
Now, it's a known saying that instead of assigning a role to a user, we should
Hmm.
always assign a role to a group.
Group.
Let's say there are 50 people, and to all those 50 people, you would like to give the same role. So rather than doing it one by one, we can simply create a group.
Yeah.
We can make all the users part of that particular group, and we can simply assign the role to that particular group. Right?
Yeah.
So here we can create two types of group. One is M365 group, which is also called as Microsoft 365.
Hmm.
Earlier, the name was distribution group. Now it has been renamed to Microsoft 365. And
Hmm.
second is we can create a security group.
Okay.
Right? This M365 group is, the name suggests, is basically used for the distribution purposes. Let's
Hmm.
say I would like to send an email to 50 people. So I can
Hmm.
simply create a DL, distribution list. I can send an email to it. So basically, all 50 people who are part of that group will receive the email. So this
Hmm.
group will have an email address. This
Okay.
group will have an email address, right? Let's say if I'm facing some issues with my mobile, and I would like to send an email to customer.care@apple.com. It is basically a group email address.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shared mailbox. That is something we can do with the help of this. Or if you want to send a Teams invite to multiple people, right, or calendar invite to multiple people, so you can do this with the help of this group. Second, we have something called a security group, which is mostly used to assign roles and permissions. Let's say I would like to create Azure networking group, or
Mm-hmm.
Azure security engineer group, or Azure admin groups, or Azure architect groups, right, or Azure DevOps engineers group. So I can do it with the help of the security group. So in the group, there are two things. There is something called as owner, and there is
Mm-hmm.
something called as member.
Mm-hmm.
Owner, someone who is basically controlling the group,
Mm-hmm.
who can decide whom to add inside the group, whom to remove from the group. All this
Mm-hmm.
part can be done with the help of owner.
Yeah.
Member, who is basically a part of the group.
Okay.
When we are adding members, there are two ways by which we can add members. There is something called as directly assigned,
Mm-hmm.
and there is something called as dynamically assigned.
Mm-hmm.
So directly assigned means, let's say we have 500 users. Out of those 500 users, I would like to add 5 users in a group. So
Mm-hmm.
in direct assignment, I have to add the users manually. Maybe I want
Yes.
to add user number 5, user
Yeah,
number,
multiple selection.
yeah, user number 97, user number 231. So manually, I will be adding users. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say after some time, I would like to add two more people. Again, I have to add those users manually.
Yeah.
Then we have something called as dynamically assigned. In dynamically assigned, we
Mm-hmm.
basically write a query, or we basically create an expression.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever this query will be met, or whenever this expression will be met, the user will automatically become a part of the group,
Okay.
right? So
So
whenever,
we'll define some parameter in the query or expression.
right? For example, let's say I'm saying we are creating a sales group.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying whenever we are creating a user, while creating a user, if we are selecting, let's say user department is equals to sales, the
Mm-hmm.
user should automatically become a part of the group,
Mm-hmm.
right? If in case I would like to extend this expression, maybe I'm saying the user department should be equals to sales, and user country should be equals to India, right?
Yeah.
So now when both the expressions will meet, then only the user will become a part of the group. When both the conditions will meet, then only the user will become a part of the group. It's up to
Yeah.
you.
Now we
If
can have a booleans, multiple booleans.
you can have multiple booleans, right? You can have and or whatever you
Yeah.
want. So let's see how can we create this group. See, in order for this dynamic assignment to work, in Microsoft Entra ID, we have something called as Microsoft Entra ID license.
Mm-hmm.
And we have four types of license available for Microsoft Entra ID. So
Mm-hmm.
one is free,
Mm-hmm.
second one is O365, which comes
Mm-hmm.
along with the Office 365 subscription.
Mm-hmm.
Third one is Microsoft Entra ID Premium P1,
Mm-hmm.
which costs somewhere around $6 per user per month.
Mm-hmm.
And fourth one is Microsoft Entra ID Premium P2, which
Mm-hmm.
costs somewhere around $9 per user per month. Right? So these are
Okay.
the licenses. In order for this dynamic assignment to work, it doesn't work with the free license. So in order for
Mm-hmm.
this to work, we need to have either P1 or the P2 license. So that doesn't work with the free license. So we need to have P1 or P2 license.
Okay.
Right.
It doesn't even work with O365, Office
With
365.
Office 365, there are different licenses E3, E5. So it
Yeah,
works with E3 and E5.
it works with E5.
Yeah, with E3 as well, it works.
Okay. Yeah, so we have E5, I think.
Yeah, even with E3, it works. Right.
Okay.
All right. So
So basically, it works with second, third, fourth option.
yeah, second and fourth option. It doesn't work with the free one. Right.
Okay.
Let's have a look. See. So let's say if I want to create a group, so maybe we
Mm-hmm.
can simply go to Microsoft Entra ID. So when we go to Microsoft Entra ID, we can go to groups.
Mm-hmm.
When we go to groups, we can say we would like to, we can see all groups,
Mm-hmm.
right? How many groups we have. Now, if in case we want,
Mm-hmm.
we can create a new group from here.
Okay.
Let's say I'm saying new group.
So
What is
what is the license? What is the license you have?
yeah? So my I have free license. So if I go
Okay,
to
so we can
Microsoft
create.
ID,
Okay, we can create the manual thing.
manual one, I'll show
Okay.
you the automatic deployment as well. See, so here in this Microsoft Entra ID, I have got Microsoft Entra ID free license. So
Okay.
basically, because I have the free license, dynamic assignment is not going to work.
It's okay. Yeah, understood.
So let's say if I go to new group, what kind of a group I'm creating? Let's say I'm creating M365 group. Group name, let's say I'm creating customer care. So this will become customer care at so and so. If
Mm-hmm.
in case you want to make this email address like this, customer care at jitin.shop, we can do it.
Mm-hmm.
From office page, we would be able to do it. Not from here, but if I go to admin.microsoft.com or office.microsoft.com, from there we would be able to do it. Right?
Okay.
So let's say I'm creating this for customer care. So here the membership type is only assigned, only directly assigned is possible.
Yeah.
Dynamic is not possible here, right?
Yeah, understood.
So let's say if I go here with owners, right? So which one? Let's say I want this person to be the owner. Now
Mm-hmm.
who will be the members? So I will be selecting the members manually here. Let's say I want these two people to be the members, so I can select them manually.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If I want to go with dynamic assignment, we need to have the license. So let's say I log in with a different account. Okay. So when we go here, now first thing we'll try to check is which license we have got. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say we'll try to check. I'll try to go to Microsoft Entra ID. So when we go to Microsoft Entra ID, we can see here the name of the directory is MS. That is the name of our directory, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here the license we have got is Microsoft Entra
Peter.
ID P2 license, right?
Okay.
So now if I go to groups,
Mm-hmm.
let's say I'm creating, I will see all groups. Okay, let's say here I have a sales group, which I'm deleting it first.
Yeah.
All right. So now what I'm doing, let's say I'm creating a new group.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the kind of a group I'm creating? Let's say I'm creating a security group.
Mm-hmm.
What is the group name? Let's say I'm creating a sales group.
Mm-hmm.
Description for sales purpose, membership type. Now here I can select dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with the dynamic user, right? So I'm saying who will be the owner. Owner is something I'll be selecting manually.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying so this person is the owner. Now
Mm-hmm.
who will be the members? So I can say add a dynamic query,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what is the property? So here multiple options are there. Let's say I'm saying if department, here in operator as well you have multiple options, right?
So
I'm
this membership rules, the query,
Mhm.
can we save also?
It will
Like
be
every
saved
time? Okay. So I mean for next day, okay, it's a group. That's why. Okay.
in
Yeah.
a group. We are saving it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Understood.
So let's say I'm saying what is the value? I'm saying department is sales.
Yeah. So when we make a user and we put the value sales, it will automatically move into that group.
Right. If in case we want to add the expression, we can say and. Let's say I'm saying department is equals to, let's say, India.
Mm.
Right. So now this is done. All right. So we
Yeah.
can go ahead and we can say save and we can say create.
Mm.
So now it is created. See now if we go to sales group, so we will find. Okay, it may take a couple of seconds to refresh it. See now if we go to sales group. If we go to manage, if we go to members, we can see there is no member as of now, right?
Yeah,
As of now,
yeah,
there is no member. So what we will try to do now, let's say I'll try to create one user
yeah. With
and we'll
Azure.
create, yeah, department as sales and let's say country as India.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say I'm calling it as new user. Let's say I call it as testing one,
Mm-hmm.
display name testing one.
Mm-hmm.
Next is property. So what is the department? I'm saying
Sales.
sales. And what is the
India office location.
country or region? Let's say I'm saying is India.
India. Okay.
And we can say review and create. So now we are creating the same, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
done. So maybe it,
Yeah.
it may take like a moment or two, maybe 1 or 2 minutes. But now when we go to group, okay, so now if we go to the sales group, and now if we go to this members, no, it's not updated. Let's just wait for a
It will
minute.
take time. Can
Yeah,
you tell by the time it takes time? Can you go to your PPT, the paint?
yeah, this one.
Can you explain a little more about the groups, like distribution group or security group, and like more
Distribution
difference?
group.
Like you just
Distribution group
email.
is, yeah, it's basically used for distribution purposes. Let's say you want to send email to this group. Let's say you create customer.care@dell.com.
Mm-hmm.
Now you add the members into that particular group. Let's
Oh,
say you're adding 10 members.
okay, so
It's like
basically it's managing Outlook memberships,
shared mailbox, you can say. Yeah,
shared mailboxes. Okay, and
mostly
security
for
group
that
is like
purpose.
users. Security group is like our laptop users.
Security
Like
group is basically used for assigning roles and permission. Let's say I am saying I am creating a Azure networking engineer group.
yeah.
In that group, I have added 10 members. Now, what
Mm-hmm.
I'll do to that particular group, I will give access to all the virtual networks. So
Mm-hmm.
anyone who is a part of this group can manage all the virtual networks within our account. So
Mm-hmm.
mostly it is used to assign permissions to the users.
Okay,
Hope you got the
understood.
clarity, right?
Yeah, understood now. Yeah.
All right. So now if we have a look here and if we click on refresh, hopefully it will be added by. It's taking time, but I think it will be done maybe shortly.
Can you see one thing? The where you put India, was it country or some other Boolean?
Yeah, that sometimes we do those silly mistakes. That's
Yeah,
quite possible.
I think we put India somewhere else. If you go to groups and see the that can we see now where did we made that
Yeah,
policy?
yeah, yeah. See if we go here.
No, groups. Can you go to groups, please?
Okay. Okay, you're saying in groups we have done the mistake.
I don't know mistake. I'm just I want to double check one thing. Yes, group, and we go to our Boolean. Admin membership rules.
It's
User
department.
department is India, right? See, I think we put country India there in the user.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That is the reason. It was not
yeah.
working.
I was like, I thought I saw, but then when I didn't edit it, then I was like, maybe.
Yes, sometimes we do these silly mistakes.
Yeah, this everyday thing.
That's how we would be able to add the members.
It's okay.
Uh,
It'll take its time. It's fine.
like, see, Taj, actually, I'm just not keeping well. So would it be okay if we just wind it up here and we'll
Yeah,
continue tomorrow?
yeah. Trust me. Like you go on your own page. I just want to finish that course. If you feel like I am going slow, just tell me. But I am not in hurry, right? So you can take your time. I don't know, right? जैसे आपको ठीक लगता है बस you can do it, right?
Sure, sure, sure.
No worries.
Thank you so much, Taj.
No
Thank
worries.
you.
Yeah, tomorrow also just message me if you're not feeling well or something, right? So when is your weekdays trainings over?
It will be over like this Thursday. It will be over, but then again next week I have the training. So next week would be the last week. Then it will be
Okay.
over.
Okay, because I think in the lab's time we might take might finish it faster, like more time, right?
Right, right. Don't worry, we'll spend more time, like
Yeah,
90
it's okay.
minutes, 120
Yeah,
minutes,
I am not
whatever
in
is.
hurry. You
Yeah,
can plan as your schedule. Just tell me like we need this much time, or if I'm going slow, you have to tell me, right?
sure, sure, sure. No problem. We'll keep you
Okay.
updated.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank
Jitin.
you.
Thank you very much.
Take care.